the 50s. They went back to the future. I'm a child of the 80s. I got every game that I'm making. I'm a child of the 80s. You don't wanna play me. I'm a child of the 80s. I got every game that I'm making. I'm a child of the 80s. You don't wanna play me. I'm a child of the 80s. I got every game that I'm making. I'm a child of the 80s. You don't wanna play me. Randy Savage and Ric Flair, these were my favorite wrestlers in the World Wrestling Federation. I had a skateboard black and green, a plastic rail stuck underneath, and I hated rollerbladers. I'm a child of the 80s. I got every game that I'm making. I'm a child of the 80s. You don't wanna play me. I'm a child of the 80s. I got every game that I'm making. I'm a child of the 80s. You don't wanna play me. I'm a child of the 80s. I got every game that I'm making. I'm a child of the 80s. You don't wanna play me. I'm a child of the 80s. I got every game that I'm making. I'm a child of the 80s. You don't wanna play me. I'm a child of the 80s. I got every game that I'm making. I'm a child of the 80s. You don't wanna play me. I'm a child of the 80s. I got every game that I'm making. I'm a child of the 80s. You don't wanna play me.
All right, once again, we want to welcome everyone here to Night Ride FM. My name is Dennis G. We are doing a live show. It is Friday, 9 p.m. my time. It's actually 9:11 p.m. my time, but who's counting? We are here for the Dennis G Show live on Night Ride FM. This is pretty much how we do it each and every single night. There's always something going on. And today we have a surprise special guest. And he goes by the name of User. And User, how you doing, man?
What's up, partner? How you doing?
Good, man, good. User is a fellow member of our Megacorp. I couldn't even get the name out right.
Cool.
I always start messing up like right in the beginning. It's always good to mess up right in the beginning of a show because then you there's only one way to go and that's up, you know. So.
Oh well, yeah, and get the yips out.
Get the yips, get the ums and the blabs and the bees and all that stuff. So anyway, User just launched a record, and it came out New Year's Eve, right?
It came out at the stroke of midnight globally, New Year's Eve.
Which is
pretty
fantastic.
cool.
Yeah. I mean, I was really excited. In fact, I was fortunate enough to listen to the actual album maybe a couple weeks before, and I was just blown away by it. I really, really love the sound. It's got that synth pop element, which is something that I really, really dig. That's just like that's my gig right there. So when I heard it for the
I
first
appreciate
time,
that.
yeah, I really really enjoyed it, and yeah, it was really cool, and the way you did the launch at midnight was like a lot of fun, and just one way to celebrate by having the one of the very first albums in 2019. How did that feel?
Well, yeah, well, what's really funny about that is that I live in Seattle, right? And so in Seattle downtown, there's just high-rise buildings everywhere. So we were up at a party in a downtown building, and my friends asked me to DJ for the party. And so I'm playing music all night. I'm just playing like regular EDM stuff, party music. And then the fireworks go off. We're all pressed against the window. And then the stroke of midnight happens, and my friend walks out with a cake, like a birthday cake, and it says, "Congratulations on the album release." And like it turned into an album release party. And so we literally just hit play and played the album end to end, and people were just rocking out.
Oh,
And
that is
it felt
awesome.
really good.
That is really cool. So you guys really did have a big blowout for it. That's
It's
amazing.
like, it's the first time in my life I've ever had something like that. So I felt pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big milestone. I mean, I know how long it takes for people to really put out some albums, and some people think that it's just something you would churn out in like a month or so. But I mean, some of these people,
Yeah,
they've been like
it
honing
took
these
me.
songs for like 10 years, and it's just kind of in them, and it just gradually comes
Yeah,
out. But amazing,
it took a
amazing for,
year for sure.
for a good solid year. I'm sure, definitely. So
It's kind of funny, like the velocity increased over time, but yeah, it took about a year.
yeah, I guess you get to that part where you start to pick up momentum, and you probably get excited because you're kind of getting close to, putting it out. So you probably put a little bit more work and effort into it.
Yeah, that's right. That's
But
how it goes.
but cool. The first song we just played was 1985, and this is the kickoff to the album. Can you tell us a little bit about the concept of it, what it's all about, and what was going through your mind when you made it?
Totally. So that song is actually an interesting cut off the record because it's like, just from the background perspective, the whole album started as pure synthwave. Like a year ago, I wrote a bunch of songs, right? And I just had them in my own earbuds. And over time, I started adding stuff to it. And I was just, hanging out with my friends a lot. And they were like, we want heavier music. We want it to hit harder. And I was just like, okay, fine. And I started making like kind of more EDM-ish tracks. And next thing you know, I ended up with that sound, and it's really punchy and just kind of modern sounding, but I didn't want to get rid of the feeling of where it came from. And so I decided to just be really on the nose and write the lyrics about my life when I was a kid and what I loved. And then, I was just like, what could really push this over the edge? And I was like, this thing needs a damn guitar solo in it. And so I seriously just like sat down and threw every effect on a keyboard and just like shredded. And like all of a sudden it was like the perfect homage to like the 85 feeling that I had when I was a kid. And I was like, this is it. I'm sticking with this sound. This is great.
Yeah, I love it. It's very, it's got that punchy sound to it, but yeah, I mean, it's a very cool way to start an album. I mean, when you have an album start off with a guitar solo, I mean, you can't really go wrong with that.
Well, I got even better secret detail about that. So there's a part in that song that has like a really kind of like a Van Halen-ish like keyboard patch, right? It's like sounds like the song Jump.
Oh, right.
Well, that part is actually being played by my mother, like
Get out
if
of
you can
town.
believe it. So
That's
so my
amazing.
mom is a musician, and she used to like tour with the Righteous Brothers and stuff, and so she's like a much cooler person than I am. And like she came to visit me, and I gave her my keyboard, and I'm like, hey mom, look at all these cool 80s synth patches I've got. And so she starts playing, and I just hit the record button,
That's amazing.
keyboard part, for a really long time. And then once I started making the new version of the song, I bounced it and then spliced it up to be like kind of modern in the way it's delivered. And she didn't even recognize it. And I took the album back to her and I was like, hey mom, guess what? You're on my album, and played it for her. She's like, that's me? Like, really? Is that me? It's like, yeah, that's you. It's like pretty hilarious.
That is cool. I mean, not many artists can say, "Yeah, I had my mom on my first record," but
Yeah, I
that's
know.
fun.
She's honestly much cooler than me. Yeah.
No, I mean, if she toured with the Righteous Brothers, right on, man. That's pretty. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So she's got that old.
Yep.
old
I
school.
got to go with them on tour when I was a little kid, so that was upbringing for me because I was around all these like world class like musicians all the time, and they're all just like having fun and just like watching them kind of do their work and how they vibe with each other like on stage and stuff, and just got exposed to some music when I was very young.
That's
So that was an
amazing.
interesting life experience.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine. My mom took me to Sesame Place. That was cool. That's about it. I don't know if they have
Yeah.
Sesame Place over in You're in California, right?
I grew up in California, but just last year I moved to Seattle. So
Oh, okay, that's right. 'Cause I know you seem to have this like. To me, it sounds like a little West Coast vibe to your music too, which is cool. But you also have
definitely, it's
a little New York too. A little bit later on, maybe we'll play a couple of those New York vibes.
yep.
But yeah,
And the
it's really
album
cool.
like changes personalities like every 3 songs or something. It's like pretty weird
Yeah, but
in a good way, but it's pretty weird.
the funny thing is, a lot of artists that I talk to, they're exactly like that. They're like, I don't know what I should do. I'm about to put out an album, and I have 20 songs, and they're just all over the place. And I mean, you can
Well,
kind of shave it down a little bit, but it's good to be dynamic.
one of the hardest things to do when you're putting out an album is to have a strong voice and maintain a consistency of your vision, right? So like from end to end, is there a continuity? Is there like a thread running through all of your songs? And for many artists, that's the struggle. They can't do it, right? And I'm the same way. Like I have too many ideas and I kind of can't keep it together, and I want to do all things at once. And so 6 months of the end of the project was me just going back and rewriting parts with the instruments that I had plucked out from other songs on the record, just to make sure that they were the same sound, and like, and so I ended up writing like 5 songs with the same exact set of instruments and drum sounds, just to that lane. And then my the creative direction that it went, maybe the song sounded completely different, they're still the same palette, right? And so Forgotten Child and Renegade are exactly the same project file. Chemistry, also the same project file. So all those songs are like identical in their instrumentation, but they come out completely different because of the ideas. And it's just such an interesting problem to have to solve, is that continuity of a vision.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can definitely see that. So speaking of Renegade, we're gonna load it up here and give it a play. I'm gonna play the song first, and then let's discuss it. And so we're just gonna go ahead and give it a listen. Once again, you are listening to the Dennis G Show on Night Ride FM. We are here with User, who just had his album launched New Year's Eve, one of the first albums in 2019, and we're gonna play his next song. This is a little song called Renegade.
Outside the lines, a rule breaking like a renegade. Outside the lines, I don't wanna be be defined. A rule breaker like a renegade, outside the lines. Felt this way since I was young, and you know time flies when you're having fun. I'm a little older now, and the only is to hang around. You tell me what I should do, and the way it is, and I should listen to you. But there ain't no turning back around. I've gone too far with a different sound. I wanna be outside the lines, a rule breaker like a renegade, outside the lines. I don't wanna be defined. A rule breaker like a renegade, outside the lines. Outside the lines, a rule breaker like a renegade, outside the lines. I don't wanna be defined. A rule breaker like a renegade, outside the lines. I wanna be outside the lines. A rule breaker like a renegade, outside the lines. I don't wanna be defined. A rule breaker like a renegade, outside the lines. I wanna be outside the lines. A rule breaker like a renegade, outside the lines. I don't wanna be defined. A rule breaker like a renegade, outside the lines.
All right, there it is, and that is Renegade by User. And we do have User on the phone with us right here. So can you tell us a little bit about that track and what was kind of going through your mind when you wrote it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I wrote a handful of songs that were sort of like Neil Youngish in the sense that they were just like ringing out. They were real classic rocky in their structure, and was trying to like submit music to all these different playlists, and they just kept telling me that I wasn't a purist. I didn't sound like the right sound for them. And I wrote this song and lyrically, and I needed some words to this song, and I was like, okay, so kind of feeling where I was just like, you know what? These rules. I don't want to sound like that. I want to be something else.
So that's like your ultimate FU song to all the
so
people.
literally the first version of those lyrics were like, sounds and synth patches. Like they were super direct. And then I was just like, this is kind of dumb. And I was like, I better like make this a little more generic. And so I did. But that song had to be, for that reason, the first song on the album, because it planted a flag in the ground and said, this album is gonna be setting up your expectations for like synthy stuff, but it's gonna just keep knocking it down and like making you feel confused. And like that was totally deliberate. And I just wanted to say fuck you to all those people, because like I was so tired of that, you know.
Yeah.
And like, and so that's like, it kind of established, really let me feel the freedom to just say, you know what, I don't want to sound like I don't want to feel like I'm trying to like change what I'm hearing in my head.
Right.
Playlist, right? I wanted to sound like myself, you know, like what I'm hearing inside. And so that was the moment that this album turned into what it was.
That's awesome. So you're just basically saying, I'm writing my own shit. I'm doing it my own way. And I guess I was wrong. I thought 1985 was the opening on that, but that's a problem with the way that music is delivered nowadays. That's one of the things I like about vinyl, and I just kind of went back and started collecting vinyl because, you know, track one just, it's like, I don't know what track one is anymore. I'm like looking at like just this this big word list of track titles, and it's just like, especially once you get into playlists, and it, you know, there's something like just very definitive about that track one, side one, that is just amazing. But so that was your album opener, and yeah, you're just like, screw you, I'm gonna make the music I want to make. Which, you know what, every artist should be like that. You know, it's a shame when people have to kind of water down their stuff or kind of pander to what is hot right now, or what the record labels say they should play. Screw that.
Ain't that the truth, man? Seriously though. And you know, about the vinyl thing, like I grew up listening to albums completely like end to end over and over again. I spent my whole childhood just listening to the same like 10 records over and over and over again, end to end. And so like I cannot help but listen to new music that way too. And so when I was making this, I was like, this has a feeling that runs through the whole thing. And by the end of it, you feel like you're on a journey, and the journey just ended, and you're like sad that it's over. And it makes you want to start it over, like, because I'm an album guy. Like I hate the idea that like there's only one little piece of sound that represents you. It's like there's so much more than that, you know? Yeah,
most definitely. So we're gonna lead into our next track here, and we'll play maybe about like 2 more tracks. I used to go for like 2-hour interviews and stuff, but it gets to the point where I can't edit all that stuff anymore. I'm lazy. But I love making these kind of interview / music things where, you know, you just kind of let the music do the talking and stuff like that. But it's a lot of fun. We're just kind of starting this new format of the live interview. In fact, this is our very first live interview on the station for at least me, and with the new setup. But hopefully we're actually broadcasting and we're not talking to the walls. And you know, but
I know that would be so funny, but you know what? That's life.
Fuck it, we'll do it our way anyway. We're having fun. So this next track, this is hands down, this has to be one of my favorite songs. And I do get to the point where sometimes I feel like I have to like just peel it back a little bit, reel it in, because I'm just so passionate about music. Like, I don't care if you're like, you know, The Midnight or Bruce Springsteen or Gunship or User or you know, just the Joe Schmo that, you know, just picked up his keyboard. Like, if I'm into a song, like really, really into it, like I go bananas, man. Like, I'm just like, I fanboy all over the place, and you know, all music is just great to me. Like, I'm not really partial to anything. If it's a good sound that I love, that I just let the world know. And some people are like, dude, you really go off the hook a little bit with some of these artists.
Music should be, dude.
Yeah, it's a passionate thing. And I think I tweeted you, I forget what it was, but it was pretty over the top. I was like, this is like, you know, almost like this is like a new religion type of thing, you know. And I was just so blown away when I first heard this. I was like, like, holy crap, you know. And then when you told me what the song was about, I was even more blown away. And I can't wait to play this song, and I can't wait for you to tell me about it, because the interesting thing is, it's slightly different than what you would first see on first appearances, which is like the thing I love about music is, sometimes you peel away that layer of the onion. So I'm gonna play it. This is a little song called Chemistry.
maybe some of the synth fam will come join us. Some likes.
We need likes. Go on Twitter, give us some likes. This is the Dennis G Show, Night Ride FM. We are here with User, and once again, we played my favorite song right there. And this is that was Chemistry, and you got to tell me the real story behind that song, because I'm a little worried about you, buddy.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you say that, because like I've had people come up to me after hearing my song Chemistry, and they're like, dude, are you okay? Like, do you need a hug? Like, they think I'm like suicidal or something, right? But no, it's not about that at all, actually. So I used to live in San Diego in California, and I went out with some people. We had some drinks and food, and I remember one day or that afterwards, I'm walking back down the street through the downtown area, and just all of a sudden my throat closed up and I started suffocating, and I like blacked out.
Oh my God. I
got taken into the hospital, and they shot me up with a bunch of stuff, and
do you think it was like a panic attack
shock,
or something?
And I had never had any problem like that before, and so it was like just an immediate life-changing moment for me, and super close to dying. And so the kind of the idea that me doing anything crazy, like the chemistry in my body was my day. And it was like, it was a strange thing, because I didn't mean for it to come out in lyrics in that way, but that's exactly just what came out. And it ended up being like one of the songs that people know by me. It's one of my more synthwavy songs. Even it's just got a vibe to it.
Yeah, well, the thing is about it, I mean, when you know the context behind the song, it actually makes a whole lot of sense, because when you're just kind of walking along, you know, minding your own business, and all of a sudden your body's like, you know, yeah, I'm gonna do something, and you're probably gonna pass out now, and like you're like thinking on a conscious level, like what's going on, and you know, I mean, I could absolutely just think in my mind like, okay, it's a good time to die right now, and because you're just so scared, you just don't know how to react when your body just says, okay, yep, we're shutting down for a little bit, you know.
Yeah. And I remember this visible, like very vividly, is that I'm looking up, and all of a sudden my vision faded to black.
Oh my God.
Cold air on my face. And I was just like, I can't breathe. And I was like, you know, you're underwater or something, right? And you're having fun with your friends and you can't breathe. You're tense up and you come to the surface, right?
Right.
And I couldn't breathe. And it was like that, except my body was like motionless. And next thing you know, the timer in my head going like, it's easily been a minute. And I'm thinking like, okay, we've gone past like 2 minutes now. This isn't good.
Oh my God. So you were conscious during all that?
Yeah. I mean, I was in this kind of like half state, right, of consciousness. And then like when the needle started getting pricked into my arms and legs, right, because presumably they hit me with like 4 epi shots probably. It was just like tink, 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 right? And all of a sudden my shirt came off, and I was just like, I could feel just like a pinhole of air coming into my body, and all of a sudden it started to open back up again, and my eyes came back into the light. And I remember like looking up, and like the people are looking down at me just like, all right, he's awake. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? Like, holy shit. It was like the scariest thing ever.
That's insane.
Yeah, that was like, so I've never in my life had anything just take over immediately like that. And it really puts it in perspective that we're so fragile. Yeah. Everybody is so fragile.
Absolutely.
You know,
like I'm 40, I'm 44, and which I feel like I'm like, I might be like the grandpop, I feel like, of the synthwave genre, but I guess I'm gonna have to own that. You know, I'll have to double down and maybe get a cane or something like that. But you know, now every day I go through life, you know, when you're younger, you know, when you're like, you know, 17, you know, I was just, you know, tossing back Mountain Dews, and then when I got drinking ages, and then I'm just like, hey, just toss them back, and you know, experimentation with different things, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna live forever. And then like once, you know, you start rolling into your 40s, you're like, you know what, that spicy food or whatever it is, like, you know, like just jumping off of that thing might not be the best thing to do. You know,
that Mountain Dew. Mountain
well,
Dew,
yeah, that
what
was.
a rebel.
Whew, I was a rebel back in the day. Let me tell you, I was.
I was expecting you to say something like way worse than that, and then you said Mountain Dew, and I was like, oh yeah, it's got a lot of sugar in it.
Tons of sugar.
He's
I'm
right.
telling you, you get some of that, then I can't even.
That's so funny.
I can't keep track of what I'm doing. My body just goes into convulsions because you just get on that sugar high and you start just bouncing off the walls. That was young though. I was like maybe I wouldn't even say 17. I'd say maybe 13, 14. And you have a lot of energy when you're 13, 14 anyway because
I hear you, man.
You just got a lot of expendable energy. And that just kind of like pushed me over the edge. So I like to talk a lot. In fact, even now I do talk a lot. Surprise! I like to talk.
Yeah.
Got a radio show.
I am guilty as well.
Yeah. But
Mouth in the office.
You got too much caffeine in you, and it just you're like, slow down, buddy. But yeah, it's what I do. I mean, I DJ and I like talking. I like talking about synthwave. I like talking to anybody who listens, and sometimes to strangers. And it all depends on who my audience is, and I just make the best of it wherever I'm at. So we're gonna move on into our next song here, and I'm gonna play two more songs. I was gonna play one more, but you know what? There's so many great songs on this album. I definitely want to touch on as much as I can. We're gonna go into this next song. This is it's a song called Partition, and it's a really cool concept. And we're gonna talk about it a little bit after it is done. Once again, this is the Dennis G Show, and you are listening to User live and direct. And we're just going over some of the album songs for 1985, his debut album that launched New Year's Eve. So this is Partition. All right, there it is. That is a little tune called Partition, and that's a crazy song. In fact, as I was playing it, I was just thinking about the fact that you can kind of hear it in the back of my headphones, and I'm like, is that messing up? Is that messing up? So yeah, you got some crazy sounds going on in that tune. What kind of stuff we got going on with that?
Absolutely. So, that song is interesting because I don't know about other producers out there, but I need to like practice stuff, and so I was trying to like deal with learning how to do panning and stereo control and all of that shit like really tight. And I was like other artists who were like really splicey EDM, and I was like, I've had this song that I wrote a year ago that modulates and changes keys like every 4 bars, and it's the same melody over and over and over again. And isn't a good song, but like the concept is cool. And then I sat on it for like a year, and then when I was like trying to finish the album, I was like, I need something just totally mental. And like the panning tricks that I had learned, and then that melody, and I put it with a concept that I'd been sitting on for a while. And this is like kind of, I'll just tell you the abridged version of this, but like when I got married, I was at like my own wedding, for whatever reason, like I had kind of stopped playing music for a handful of years, and my wife knew me as a music person, but none of her family knew me as that. And the band at the wedding like called me up to like sing Prince of all things. They were like, "Here, come to sing Purple Rain. That'll be really funny." And child of musicians, I can sing, it's fine. And so I just went for it and I did it.
They did it as a joke,
like,
and you
got into it.
Oh, you went legit.
But I looked across the whole crowd of people, and all of them were like in utter confused shock. Like they did not know that I had any musical background at all. And not only that, I was like actually a decent job at it. And they were like, a lesson in life that like you are essentially like this like series of phases in your life where like the old you is constantly deleted, and the people you as you change those phases of your life. And it's like partitioning, right? It's like you're a new version of you over and over again. You keep shedding your skin, and like to be gone as quickly as it came. And that was that song. I was just like thinking about that, and I was like, this is the perfect vocal concept to go with this like mental piece of audio. And it's like I lovingly call this my Bee Gees song, because it sounds like that to me. It's just like a disco song, super slow and dark wave.
Yeah,
and just
yeah, it does kind of have that little vibe to it. Like it's like a real like almost like a Staying Alive kind of little beat to it.
Exactly.
And you could definitely do the hustle to it. I'm pretty sure you could. In fact, next party I do.
It is what it is. That's how influences work, man. I love it. That's what's so awesome about.
Yeah, and people get inspired in the nuttiest of places, and for you to be thinking disco and then coming out with that crazy song that's just all over the place, it just goes to show that there's just elements in music that get influenced and influence other people, and it just could be like the just the most obscure thing that just resonates with somebody and gets them kind of inspired to do something. So that's pretty
wicked.
There's
a fun fact about that song, dude. At the end, before the final chorus, there's actually a little bit of a solo, right? And that solo, not a synthesizer. I actually took my own voice and I turned it into like a keypad, and I played that solo with my own voice, just to like put the cherry on top of just like the lunatic, like at certain points in that solo, you can hear me kind of like bleeding through, saying like every but and it starts like turning into that kind of thing again, where it sounds like a guitar almost, but my words are almost bleeding through it just because it's my actual voice. It's kind of funny.
Now I gotta listen really closely to that, because that
you're not gonna be able to unhear it. You're gonna hear it differently now, I swear.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like it reminds me of Joey 4-Track or Paul Maricart, his stuff. I always try to listen to the real Joey, You know, you get like he broadcasts in like 3 different pitches. I don't know if you heard some of his stuff, but he's another art. I got to do an interview with him because he's just blowing my mind. He's on another level. He's just like on his own planet. You know what I mean? Like, and this is the thing about like artists and stuff. They're just some people are just like on their own plane, you know, and they're I can't really describe. Well, your music too. It's kind of it's so just kind of all over the place, and it's uniquely you. And that's the cool thing about, you know, a lot of these artists that I really like. I like artists that are uniquely them, not people that are trying to sound like other people. And you could put out 15 songs and you can have it be different each time.
Putting the music to the playlist, exactly.
But you have a thread. That's you know, and
the thread.
And that's
see, that's the big problem. You got to tie a thread through it all, otherwise it doesn't quite work, right? And I feel like XTwin is a really good example of this. Is he's a guy who all he does is break rules. He just like he's on his own planet, and somehow all of it works really well together, and like sonically, it just feels naturally like a good set of songs. And then every time you hear him, he is like a different version of himself. And it's so like obviously XTwin still.
Right.
And you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know how he accomplishes that over and over again, but I just think he's a genius.
Yeah, it's that constant reinvention of yourself, but you're still there. You're still an element in the mix that you put out there, and people instantly recognize it. I get to listen to some XTwin too. I haven't listened to, God, maybe 20 years? No, maybe, I'd say maybe 10, 15 years. But I had some really good stuff. I would play some of his stuff at parties, because the weird thing about his music was, you know, he's an electronic artist, but a lot of his stuff can be like really heavy, really techno-y, but then he's got some really just beautiful songs that, like, I play some of these things at like cocktail hour and dinner and stuff like that, because it's just like we were saying, it's just like all over the place. But he just has this common thread that you could play him in different songs in different environments. Like, you know, the same person you're playing, you know, at cocktail hours, the same person you're playing when you're raving. You know, it's pretty cool that artists can do that. So, all right, we're gonna.
I feel like this song.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I feel like the song "Forgotten Child" is like that. It's like when you listen to it, it's like kind of a thoughtful and an emotional sounding song, and it's all like vocodered out, but it's like still using all the same gear as all the other stuff.
Right. Really
mellow vibe to it, and it was almost so different and so mellow that I had to like find ways to like make it work, because it was too chill.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a great tune.
Yeah, it's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and you know what? It just so happens that I have it right here. So let's.
Whoa!
I know, it's amazing.
How'd you do it?
This is technology at its best. So we're gonna play that one. That's actually a really good one, because we're talking about artists being dynamic, artists that are having a different thread but remaining uniquely them. And yeah, for you to go from, you know, Partition to Forgotten Child, that just goes to show that, yeah, the dynamic is definitely there. So we're going to go ahead and play it. Once again, if you are just tuning in, this is the Dennis G Show. My name is Dennis. We are here with Us3r, and he just launched his album, 1985, not in 1985, but just this past New Year's. I know that was a really cheesy joke, but what you going to do? It's late. The cheesy jokes come out when it gets late and I get some drinks in me.
Yeah.
So there's that. So we're gonna go ahead and move on into this next song. This is Forgotten Child.
Did a broken dreams where the games are not for winning. You don't gotta stay home, but you can't stay here. And you're still waiting like a forgotten child. for winning. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay. You're still waiting there like a forgotten child. When our party's almost over, you can feel it in our room, like a slowing pulse of electricity. There's no one left but me. I keep broken dreams, where the games are meant for winning. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay. You're still waiting there like a forgotten child. Broken dreams, where the games are not for winning. You don't gotta go home, but you can't stay here. And you're still waiting there like a forgotten child. I get a broken dreams, where the games are not for winning. You don't gotta stay.
We should end it with like just something totally insane.
You should absolutely end it with something insane. Let's see what we have here. We have all the music from the album, so I don't know if you want to play anything from that. We're gonna play our last song here, and this is live. You guys are listening to Night Ride FM live. This is how we roll, and we do these live shows. They are unedited, and that's sometimes a good thing, and sometimes it's not a good thing. But we've been rolling so far so good. Hopefully, people are
so far so good.
Yeah, I hope people can hear us. And although all the song tracks have been showing up as line one, so I'm gonna have to give.
But my songs are all just called line one.
Oh,
every single one of them.
Jeez, then that makes perfect sense now. We're gonna play a user's new song. It's called Line One. Wait a minute, we just played that one. But yeah, technology.
Oh no, that's the other one.
That's the other. Oh, that's right. It's
other Line One.
So technology, we got to roll with it. But we're having fun, and we're gonna play one last song.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it up. We're gonna play something crazy. I don't know. In fact, you know what? Let's do something brand new feature here. This is called Artist Request, but the only downside is I have to have the song in my list. We're not streaming it. We're doing it live. So hit me up with a song. What's your favorite synthwave song? Maybe something that is maybe most inspiring to you. That maybe just one of them songs that just really really gets at you. What would you think if you had to pick one song right here, right now, right this second?
That song off of the Midnight about the kids, God damn it. Well, I don't know what the name of that song is, but there's a song about like the mall or something that Midnight just came out with, and it's like a gorgeous song.
That is.
I listened to it on repeat on a flight.
And gosh darn it, I don't have them loaded up. What kind of DJ are you? You don't have them. I do have the Midnight. Let me see. Midnight.
Yeah,
you know what?
Any song by the Midnight's amazing.
You know what? I do have a nice little collection here. And so I have America 2, which, I mean, you can't get any better than that. Explorers, and then we have some older stuff. We have one of my favorite Midnight tunes, which is Jason, Lost Boy, and Shadows. User, what song would you like to hear to close out our show?
You know what? I'm gonna throw it to you. I wanna hear what you're feeling right now.
All right. So you have me choose. I'm going to have to choose this one here, which I have to say, this song is, it's just one of them songs that maybe an artist comes out with in about every 10 years. And don't get me wrong, the Midnight have been putting out songs really at a very fast pace. I know people always wish that they were putting out music faster and faster, but obviously good work takes time. But I think they've been cranking out some really good hits, and this song's been kind of germinating for a while with I know Tyler, who had wrote the song, and he told me a little bit about it, and it's called America 2, and it's just, to me, it's about, just that new struggle. It's kind of an America song where you have the old days, like you were saying, you're a child of the Righteous Brothers, you said, right? And you got to grow up in a different kind of America, and music, American music was kind of portrayed in a very different way. America had a different portrayal. Nowadays, it's kind of losing a little bit of that luster.
For sure.
America has kind of a different connotation, and this is kind of an homage to those old songs. I mean, I wrote an article about it, and I remember the funny thing is, I actually I played a lot of Simon and Garfunkel when I was writing the article, just because that's the type of vibe that this gives me. And when I listen to Simon and Garfunkel's America, and I think about this song America 2, and then I listen to America 2, I mean, the inspiration is just uncanny. I know a lot of people compare it to Bruce Springsteen as well. It's like kind of like a modern day Bruce Springsteen, which is cool too.
Dude, I love Simon and Garfunkel. I went on like a trip one time when I was younger to like Italy, and I remember these two Italian people were like performers in the street, and they sang America by Simon and Garfunkel. It was like a guy and a girl singing. And I was like, I never realized that I love this song, and now I love this song. Like, I really do. And it was like the cherry on top that made me really go back and like re-listen to all of their stuff. And like now I'm like a super fan of Simon and Garfunkel. I think they're so good.
Yeah, I mean, they're amazing. Even Paul Simon, his solo stuff too was just phenomenal.
Yeah,
Graceland, one of my top 5 albums from the 80s. I mean, you just listen to that thing. Talk about an artist that's just on another plane. I mean, he just went, I think he went to like Africa, Zimbabwe. I'm not even sure where the exact location was.
Remember that.
Yeah, he had like legitimate, artists from like almost like world music that he incorporated. Just like some New Orleans sound, some Zydeco. I mean, what kind of artist is doing Zydeco in the 80s? I mean, you're on another level when you're doing that kind of creative stuff. But I really love this song, America 2. It really kind of hit home for me. It was an amazing song, very well written, very well produced by Tim. Tim's just blowing out tracks, like just an amazing quality, and Tyler just adds that personal touch that just makes it really hit home to people, and you wonder why the Midnight are so popular, and it's songwriting skills like that just kind of put them over the top, and we love it.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna play this last one here, and we were talking about Bill O'Reilly just a couple hours ago, and I can't stop thinking about that line. we're gonna play it out, and I can't even say it with a straight face.
We'll do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it. Just exactly what we're doing with this whole setup here. This is our first live interview, so I think it went well, assuming the sound's actually being broadcasted. I
really appreciate it, Dennis. It's been a lot of fun, man. Thank you so much for having me and playing my stuff.
I mean, it was my pleasure. It was a lot of fun. I like doing these type of shows because I do a lot of interviews. When the interviews, they might go for 2 hours, and like I said, I just edit, and I'm a very neurotic person. I'll sit there and edit something to the point where it doesn't even sound human after a while, and you just cut out all the pauses and the ums and the breakaways and all kinds of side side notes and side conversations, and but then I like to flip it, and doing these style interviews, I really like it because it's more of an experience. You know,
the podcast style, where you're just doing the 3-hour open format and you're just talking about everything.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's completely unscripted, and you get what you get. It's like that night, and it gets recorded, and the beautiful thing about it is, the second that the actual interview is done, it's already in the archives. Like, you can actually tweet the thing out. You can actually, the cool thing about Night Ride FM, which it just blows my mind, like every time I talk to Z, who's the station owner, you can actually join the stream live. Like, if I take the link to the conversation and I tweet it out, you can actually click on that, listen to the entire thing streaming live while it's going. Even if you, let's say, are a half hour late to the broadcast, you can click on the link and hear the thing live. It's actually being recorded as we're doing it, which is like,
yep.
It's like genius kind of stuff. I really don't understand the science behind it. Thank God
we're not worthy.
Thank God I just get paid to talk, because I can't figure this shit out. This is amazing. But anyway, it was my pleasure. Much success to you with the new album. If you are within the sound of my voice, if you are listening to Users music and you like it, please go on Spotify, stream the hell out of it. Go on Bandcamp. You're on Bandcamp too, right?
I'm on everything, man.
You're on wherever good music is heard. And go get yourself some User 1985. It is a great album. We only played just a small portion.
Thank you.
It's a full-size album, too. How many tracks do you have? Maybe 15?
13 tracks. One of the tracks is a weird intermission. But,
Speaking of, before we go into the last song here, this intermission, this is like a 15-second bit. And I know there's a little story with that. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I went to Las Vegas, right, on a work trip, and I stayed at the Aria Hotel. And the iPad has the menu. You can open your blinds and all that stuff. But then they had this tab that said coffee robot, food robot, and so you could order food and like bags of chips and coffee. And it would actually they'd stick it in the nozzle, and it would drive into the elevator and then come to your door and then call you. And
are you kidding me?
Yeah. So
what
I thought it was
Jetsons?
so clever. I took a little video. I took this really shitty cell phone video of this thing, and I darkened the color red on the video clip, and then I just quickly wrote a little synthwave song with my little vocoder, and I said coffee robot, and I did that. And I put it on my Instagram, and I had a friend who, I hadn't released an album yet. And so he just knew me as a guy who made music. Dude, your song Coffee Robot has been stuck in my head all week.
Oh my God.
There's no way that you think that's a serious song, right? Because that's a joke. It's totally a joke. And he's like, oh no, it's totally a real song. And so when I came out with the record, I was like, I need to find some kind of way to work Coffee Robot onto this fucking album for that guy, just so I can say I did it, because it was the funniest misunderstanding, but that's the story.
So you had robots delivering food to you, and you were not in science fiction.
I know, it's very Japan, right?
Oh my God, this is the world we live in, people. This is the world where we have back in the day, you're just envisioning, in the future, we're going to have robots and they're going to deliver our coffee to us, and we're going to...
I remember when I got the first coffee robot, V1.
The coffee Z1 9000.
And it was clumsy, too. I reached in to get the coffee, and it had, spilled inside, and I was like, this is awesome.
How's that for technology? That's perfect.
I was like, sweet. I'll just stick my hand in this little toilet right now. No big deal.
Oh, that is brilliant. So you released it as kind of a half joke, but I tell you what, a lot of people thought that Daft Punk, when they put out, what was it, Robot Rock? Oh, you should have heard the
Robot
outcry.
Rock. It's like a joke, but it's like a classic. It's like an amazing song.
They thought that they thought it was a fake album. They're like, yeah, they just released a fake album. I can't believe that they would do that. And they're like, no, this is a legit album. But it's like ridiculous. It's like robot rock.
Well, there's a fine line. There's a fine line between like kitschy and like, pastiche and all of that, and then like just being lame, right? But they hit that line perfectly.
Right.
Where all of a sudden it's like literally iconic in its sound. Like you hear it and it's completely recognizable. It's completely unique.
Yeah. They're almost a parody of themselves, but it
you can't beat it. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, Daft Punk. Speaking of like just people that just started off, like I really consider Daft Punk as like the precursor to synthwave, because I always
when Daft Punk, they had their concert in like I think it was like 2007 or something, and then it ended up being like a live CD called the Live 2007.
Yeah.
Or 2007. I mean, I was at that concert.
Really.
Life changing. It was like seriously life changing. I kid you not. It was a dark curtain. The curtain opens up and there's a fucking pyramid on the stage, and like a floodlight behind these two robots, and just smoke billowing out of it, and it just says robot. And I remember just like feeling chills. Like this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
I've heard that concert. Oh my god, that concert was fantastic. And they just did that for like a minute. They're like robot.
Yeah, I swear to God, it was like the coolest thing ever. And I'm from the Valley, so I grew up in the Palm Springs area. I spent about 20 years there, and the Coachella concert is like from my wife's like parents' house, and so we go like pretty often just because of that.
That's unbelievable.
So I went to Coachella 1. I went to the first one, like where it was Rage Against the Machine and Tool, and it was one night.
Dude,
it was
can
like
we
a
hang
4-hour
out?
like
seriously? Can we just hang out?
It's crazy. And then 10 years later, you got freaking, or 8 years later, you got Daft Punk, like basically like coming out of the woods to perform the one night only, concert that changes EDM forever.
That's insane.
Standing there like a doofus, like, oh my god, these guys are sick.
Yeah, we could probably talk about Daft Punk for like the next 2 hours. We got one band that's just blowing it up. That's amazing. But anyway, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap it up, because it's amazing that I just turned another half-hour show into another hour-and-a-half show. Because
hey man, I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to hear what the next stuff you put out.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
We're getting big, man. We're growing it out. I'm not saying we're getting big. We have big dreams.
Night FM crew.
That's right, Night Ride FM. You are listening to Night Ride FM. My name is Dennis G. This is the Dennis G Show. This is User, and we're not going to play a User song. We are going to play you out, Bill O'Reilly style. This is The Midnight, artist choice. Actually, I guess DJ's voice.
Yeah, this was a group decision.
Group decision, yes. It was a collab. Democracy. This is America too, and we will see you next time.
I made my home in a tin-top bar, and now I'm so happy with 28 years of free falling. Oh, but now it's all guts and I'm balling. And she was born in a tenement, walk up with shit for nerves. You know she never learned to talk to adults. She said everything's easier in here. Like the dancer with bruises who gathers the cash when the music is through. No, she don't look back. I've come to look for America too. All I ever wanted was a spot in the mountains with an 8-frame cabin and nobody counting our days, or cursing or praising our name. But the best we could do was to Like the dancer with bruises who gathers the cash when the music is through. No, she don't look back. I've come to look for America too. And we stole a car on the 4th of July. I pawned my guitar and we drove through the night. I've come to look for America too. Like the dancer with bruises who gathers the cash when the music